407-894-1680 is the number to dial. Listen, you want to follow us on Facebook. You can see us streaming live there. You can go to the Don Miller Show, and that's on our fan page. You can see us streaming live there, or you could go to www.thedonmillershow.com.
Glenn, why every time, Glenn? Why?
What?
Because you're going too fast.
How am I going? Am I going too fast, Glenn?
Yeah, take your time.
Now I need Glenn's opinion right now because you say that all the time. I'm going too fast.
She's doing pretty good, Don.
She's going too fast.
You think she's going too fast?
What am I doing wrong?
It's the braces. Okay?
It's the
Wow. You're going too fast. 407-894-1680 the number to dial. Thank
so
you so
I'm
much.
going too fast, but that wasn't fast.
That's why people can't call if I say the number too fast.
So what you said was not fast, but what I'm saying, I'm speaking fast. That's what you're telling me.
Okay.
Is that what you're telling me, Glenn, right now?
That's a good point.
I think so.
Start all over. Let's do this.
Do it again.
No, go. Why don't you go ahead and open?
Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another edition
and that's
of
not
the
fast,
Don Miller Show.
but that's not fast.
My name is Don Miller. Joining me, she has done for many years, more than 10, the lovely and very talented, oftentimes fast talker, D'Amica Page.
Really?
Thank you so much, D. Glenn Allgood in the morning.
I need to understand because
WOKB Radio
I'm troubled by the fact that you think
6
I'm
to 10 a.m.
fast.
Glenn Allgood, man, I appreciate you, man.
Man, what's going on, man? How you feel?
Man, I'm out here in these streets, man. You know, you ever show up to work and, old people used to say, something's heavy on my mind, right?
Yeah.
And so you ever show up to work and you got so much on your mind that is just bothering you that you get to a point where you have to figure out a way, right? To just channel it, right? And I'm going to channel mine today by just having a family conversation with two people I love, D'Amica Page and Glenn Allgood. Can we do that today? Sometimes we come on this radio show and we have a list of things to talk about. We have guests lined up. And the conversation kind of goes in a direction. They're always good, right? But sometimes the conversation goes away from what I really want to talk about. So I leave this place still with what I wanted to talk about on my mind, right? So today I wrote it down, a couple of things that have been really troubling me. And I want to ask the question, revisit something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, hypocrisy and contradiction, and what else was it?
Narrative,
okay. Yeah. Hypocrisy, contradiction, and narrative. And I want to stay in that. That's going to be our theme for the next few weeks. And I'll tell you why. I'm watching America implode. Not just by the sickness. I'm watching America implode because we have embraced a conversation, especially people of color, that is 100% to our detriment. We've embraced a conversation that ain't good for us. And I'm watching this, right? And I'm saying to myself, as I often do, self, what the heck is going on? And I want to talk about this right now because I want to talk about Chicago. I want to talk about Chicago, a place that is near and dear to me. And I want to tell people in this country that Chicago can come to your town soon. You got to hear me on this one, okay? Chicago can show up at your door at any minute. Chicago is an American problem. It is a problem that anybody who looks like me and D'Amica and Glenn should be concerned about. Chicago is a problem for all of us. Because how do we talk about this love we have, right? And not look at Chicago where babies are dying. Babies are being murdered. We ain't got to the sickness, right? Sickness is there. But the fact that we are watching our babies get massacred, Glenn.
Yeah.
Massacred, man. 3-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 10-year-olds getting shot. Not dying of natural causes or in car accidents, getting shot because some reckless individual whose situation is coming from somewhere else, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the show, right?
Yeah.
We got to understand, Chicago ain't about just gangs. Chicago is about a city that has been led by a certain perspective politically, a major city, a huge city, a player in American politics city. If you understand the history of Chicago or ever read the book Boss by Mike Royko, you understand the significance of Chicago. Now, listen, black folk, I really need black people to listen to this conversation today. I want everybody to listen, but I'm particularly talking to black people. If we don't see what's happening in Chicago and think it's going to affect all of us, then we are really lost. Can anybody tell me on this show where the first black president of the United States came from? First black president of the United States. Where did that guy come from? Anybody know?
He came from Chicago, but what does that have to do
wait,
with
you
it?
got to
Yeah,
listen. You got to
right.
listen.
I am listening.
You got to listen.
Born in
right?
Honolulu, Hawaii.
Okay, you got to listen. Chicago is the home of the first black president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago's situation right now, from a crime perspective, is right up there in line with the focus on COVID, right? Why haven't we heard from this gentleman from the city of Chicago who inspired more than 12 million new people to engage in politics? Now, listen to me. 12 million new people who had never voted before, single moms, and 12 million new people came to engage, right? 12 million by all estimates, 12 million new people brought on by an eloquent black guy from the south side of Chicago who convinced a lot of people, both black and white, Democrat and Republican, to give him an opportunity, right? He was good. He was smooth. But within 7 minutes of the house that he still owns in Chicago, there are mass casualties in the streets. I understand it. What does Barack have to do with this? Let me explain something to y'all about loving the place where you come from. Let me explain to y'all about being committed to those who committed to you, right? Let me explain this, right? I don't care how you feel. Don Miller, you can't put this on Barack. You're right, I can't, and I won't. But what I will put on Barack Obama and Rahm Emanuel and all of those who dog whistle to the struggling Negro in America during that election cycle 2 times, then 2 cycles, that your life is going to change. I can put that on them because under Rahm Emanuel, we had the same challenge. I'm just saying, at what point do we stop loving people who don't love us? Look, I'm sorry. We should have heard from Barack about Chicago. Maybe it's just Don Miller saying this. We should have heard from him a long time ago about the crime in Chicago. Where is he? Where is that savior? Go ahead.
So,
no, I'm serious, y'all. Where's this savior who convinced the Negro in America that life was going to change? And what was the motto of that campaign? Change. The black folk on the south side and the west side of Chicago not only have their lives changed, I contend it is getting more unsafe and, quite frankly, economically disastrous. In 8 years of loving a black guy who understood your plight more than any Republican, more than any white Democrat, he allegedly understood the plight of the suffering on the south side and the west side of Chicago. Hey, dude, over here. I'm sorry. I know some people like, why is he messing with Barack? Yes. When you represent a constituency and they are living in the conditions where the people are living on the south side of Chicago, even if you don't currently represent them, if they loved you at the magnitude that people in Chicago love Barack Obama, you go to their rescue, man. You go over their house, man. I can tell you something. If somebody in my family is sick, I'm going to go see about them. There is a sickness on the south side of Chicago. If I'm that dude in the family that everybody showed love or helped me through college or was down with me in my struggles, and somebody over there sick, I'm going to go see about them, man. That's all I'm saying. Maybe I'm out of place. I want to hear from the black guy who the Negroes fell in love with and gave him 2 terms and a 90+% commitment to loving him because the color of his skin. He needs to come see black folk in Chicago. He needs to say something. He needs to say something. Lori Lightfoot, thank you so much, ma'am. This is way over your head, ma'am. You brand new to this game. We need to hear from those who have committed to loving us at that level. 407-894-16.
So the people in Chicago, because I'm not from Chicago, I'm not claiming Chicago, man. But your people in Chicago have already said that they are blaming Donald Trump for what's going on in Chicago. So you're not hearing them say anything about wanting to hear from Barack Obama because they're using their voice right now to put the blame on Donald Trump. And not only that, the people that are there, that the people of Chicago have voted to represent them, like their mayor, is so angry at Donald Trump. They are refusing. She refused to have any officers, federal officers.
She's gonna let him in. She's letting him in.
But let's be clear. She refused. The only reason why at the beginning, the only reason why she backtracked, if you go listen to the reporters in Chicago, was because the people said something. The people held her feet to the fire. The people said they wanted help. I'm talking about the people that represented her as a leader. She was not originally listening to the people. She was so in herself and her own disposition about how she feel about Donald Trump. She made a decision.
The party thing.
She made a decision.
She's being a good Democrat.
How is that being? Is a good Democrat? Is she supposed to be a good Democrat or a good representative of the people who voted for her?
I didn't understand why I never understood why she didn't want that.
And when the people say, hello, wait a minute, we want some help.
Yeah.
Then she backtracked.
Yeah.
So we really have to take a close look at who we are voting for that's representing our interests, and are they really representing our interests? And that's why I will say this until I die, Glenn. If we don't pay attention to policies and positions, people's positions on the policy that impact our community, then we will continue to get lost. Leadership that we vote for that has more of an interest about the party line is not going to serve our community. It has not served our community up until this point. And if we keep voting from them, it's going to continue to get worse, like you see in Chicago.
Listen, I'm glad Don brought this up because what's going on in Chicago is horrific. It's embarrassing. It's horrible. Now, Don is saying that the 44th president should come in and say a few things, and I agree with him.
I want to hear from him.
I agree with him.
Much to ask?
But it's those Negroes and those gangs. It's over 100 gang factions in Chicago that are causing this crap.
Okay, and do the black lives are they black? Are they black lives?
They are most.
Do they matter? So how come Black Lives Matter isn't in Chicago protesting?
Because it's a different narrative.
But do Black Lives Matter?
Yes, they do.
Then it should be the same narrative if Black Lives matter. And so if Black lives don't matter, then they need to change the message.
But I'm glad you talked about this. I'm glad you opened up with this. I'm glad you did.
I had no choice, and I'll tell you why, Glenn. I had no choice.
Horrible stuff in Chicago.
I had a control, man. Right after 14 people or 15 people were shot at a funeral.
15 people.
Shortly thereafter, a 3-year-old was shot in the head.
In the head.
This is a crisis, right?
A 3-year-old.
And I'm confused because let me just say this. Maybe I shouldn't be calling the guy who was viewed by many of us as the guy who was going to change the circumstance of the last, the least, the lost, and the lonely. Quite frankly, I thought so, even though I don't trust any politician. It's because he was a black guy. I've heard white politicians promise things all the time. So I don't have any expectation, but here's a black guy who goes to the same restaurants these black folk on South Side Chicago go to. He met his wife in Chicago. They live in the community. and he finds himself in the highest seat in the land. I just believe that there should have been something said or even some kind of conversation engaged in. You got to understand now, there wasn't a whole lot of talk when he was president about the crime in Chicago.
Exactly.
Let's be clear. Let's go look. You can go check this out. I'm not beating the guy y'all love up. I'm not beating him up. I'm telling you, I'm not beating him up. I want y'all to believe I'm not beating him up. But at what point do we say, hey, I'm hearing more from uninformed rapper types? No, listen to this, Glenn. I'm hearing more from uninformed rapper types
Okay.
and actresses and actors.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm hearing from the guy that black people committed overwhelmingly to be their first president who looked like us. Okay. I'm hearing more from rapper types, right? I don't want to hear from a rapper. I don't want to hear from Kanye. I don't want to hear from none of those rapper types because nobody voted for them. And most of them aren't scholarly enough to even back a position they take. So I don't want to hear from them. Barack Obama didn't take care of home. Thank you so much, Yolanda. Thank you so much for that. Barack Obama didn't take care of the house, y'all. Admit it. You did not take care of home. There had to be something that could be done. I'm sorry. There had to be something. And how can we still love someone who comes from us and dumps on us? That's what happened. Tamika, I'm sorry. People can say what they want to say. I know the uninformed don't understand what I'm saying. And they love him because they love him. And y'all can love him. That's fine. Love your president. Love your first black president. Love him. Write him notes and letters. Love him. But to come from my house and know my house is on fire and not return with water? You left my house. My house is now on fire. Can you bring some water? 407-894-1680. I thought y'all think I'm talking crazy. That's fine. We can take this phone call.
Hey, caller. You on the Don Miller Show.
Hi. Okay. Is that Don talking?
Yes, I'm Don Miller, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Concerning what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi there. My name is Missionary Annie Kellerman. Mr. Don Miller,
Mm-hmm.
I don't appreciate you dogging our first black president. You are actually dogging him.
I'm not dogging
That
him.
is ridiculous.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Tell me why I'm dogging him.
Ridiculous. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Oh, here we go.
Let me ask you a question.
Dang.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
Can I?
No. I'm going to talk
Let
to
me
the
just say-
missionary.
Let me just say one
I'm
thing,
sorry?
and then you respond, ma'am. Let me also,
Why are you dogging our first black president? Aren't you black?
ma'am. Can I say
My
something to you
God.
real quick,
Let me put the missionary in her position.
ma'am? Can I say something to you really
I'm
quick?
gonna put the missionary.
Are
in
you
her
listening?
place. No, the missionary, ma'am. Let me just say this, ma'am. Thank you so much for calling, first of all, and listening. Of course, we really appreciate it. But, ma'am, let me ask you a question. Right?
Yes.
Does your vote have any value to you, or do you just
My what?
your vote?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so you don't just give it away, right? It has value, right?
Right.
So when you give your vote, something of value to you, to a particular candidate, do you have any expectation or do you expect anything in return?
Of course.
Okay, great. Then we're on the right path, ma'am. So you give your vote to a candidate and you are expecting something in return because that's what it's really all about, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What did the Negro, 96.5%, who voted for Barack Obama, get in return?
Number one, he gave us the health care. Okay. So a lot of people didn't even have insurance
Okay, ma'am.
and it was affordable. Okay.
Are you familiar with those
even
numbers?
looking at the positive things. that he
Ma'am.
did,
Okay, that's
but
great.
acting Like he didn't do anything.
Great. So he gave us that.
My
Great,
God.
ma'am. Great. So he gave us affordable health care, correct?
I'm sorry.
He gave us affordable health care, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Are you familiar with those current numbers? Oh, you're not? Okay. What else did he
Yes,
do?
I'm familiar.
Okay, what else did he give us? I'll wait. I'm excited to hear.
Well, okay, number one, a black man became president, our first black man. And
Wow,
how
that
are you
feels
gonna
so
get-
good.
You must be a Republican. Are you a
That feels
Republican?
amazing.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, let me just say
Why are
something.
you a Republican? You're black.
Okay, ma'am,
I don't
listen.
understand that.
Okay, ma'am. So you really can't tell me anything he gave us, but a healthcare bill that is failing rapidly and the feeling that a black guy was in office. Is that what you're telling us? That's the deluxe two-piece that we get, right?
Yes.
A black guy and a healthcare bill that is failing rapidly. So that's the two-piece spicy for the Negroes.
It's failing. Well, it's failing because of Donald Trump, because of Donald Trump's hatred for him. And you're acting just as much, showing as much
Ma'am.
hatred for the brother, Obama,
Ma'am,
as Donald Trump.
ma'am, let me say, this is D'Amica.
I'm sorry.
This is D'Amica. Can you hear me?
I can hardly hear you.
Okay.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
This is D'Amica. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me be clear, okay? Don Miller is not the only person who believes that the black community should be hearing from the first black president in regards to what is going on in Chicago. Many of our listeners are in our chat room right now, ma'am, agreeing that the black people in Chicago, where Barack Obama is from, deserve to hear from him. So your agitation with Don is not just Don. There are many African American people in that area who believe they should be hearing from Don. So I'm not really sure where your agitation from this position is coming from, because there are many people who believe that. And let me say this. I am a licensed health insurance agent. So I help people get health insurance. And I can tell you, being in that field personally, that it has not been affordable for the working class people. So let's just be clear about what those numbers are and what that really looks like on the ground. So if you just love him because he's the first black president, that's fine.
We okay
But
with you just loving him. We love him. We
let's
love him
not
'cause he's first
legitimize
black, right.
some of the real reasons
Right.
why other African Americans do take issue with some of the policies and disregard to the plight of black people from the area from which he came from.
Okay.
Okay.
That, I understand. Thank you. For
Oh, wait.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Look,
And now,
Miss-
can I say one more
missionary,
quick
I
thing?
appreciate you for calling in here.
Absolutely.
Can I say one more quick thing?
Yes,
A
ma'am.
minute.
Go for it.
Okay. I would like to remind you.
Mhm.
All right. I've had a cleaning service before, and you can't, like, if you are a maid or a butler or whatever, you go out to clean a house, you cannot look exteriorly and say how long it's going to take you to clean this house, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you can determine until you get on the inside
Absolutely.
and see the situation. Now, that's just the way it was when President Obama went into the White House.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's so much going on, so
Mhm.
much raggedy.
Mhm.
And so one person really can't clean this mess up by him or herself.
Yeah,
You see what
ma'am.
I'm saying? So you have to take that into consideration.
Absolutely.
The situation in Chicago,
Mhm.
when you say that Obama has not come to the people's aid and all
Mhm.
this and
Yeah.
all this is
Mhm.
happening, it's insurmountable, and he cannot fight this thing by himself. So you're saying he should be there physically fighting along
Ma'am,
with
we didn't say he should be there physically fighting. This is Barack Obama. He came from Chicago, the community
Yes.
organizer. So
That's
if the
true, yes.
community organizer does not still
Yes.
have ties with the community, so what you're implying is that he doesn't still have ties to the community. If he was the community organizer, why would he be fighting this on his own?
that if he was the community organizer. Why
That's his
wasn't
background,
he
ma'am.
I'm
Remember?
sorry.
That's his background, ma'am. Remember,
Yes, it
that was
is.
a
He
part of
was-
his campaign.
Exactly. When he became president, yes, he was community organizer in Chicago. Yes.
Mhm.
And so are you
West-
implying that since he became president that he no longer has ties to the community? Maybe that's why we're not hearing.
Have another call waiting.
Okay,
Well, you know what?
missionary,
Okay.
missionary,
Okay.
listen,
This is a good call.
missionary, thank you
No.
so much. Listen, You always
Okay.
welcome to call. Here we got some other callers holding, but thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, missionary.
Bye.
Missionary is all right with me. 407-894-1680. D'Amica, let's go back to the phone lines.
Hey, caller, you're on the Don Miller Show.
Hi. I don't typically get into politics, but these past couple of years,
Yes,
I've
ma'am.
been trying to pay attention and learn as much. And I feel like by default, a lot of us African American or Black people tend to be Democrats, and we need to ask ourselves why, because we're voting for the same people that says, I've been doing this for 50 years or 30 years, vote for me again. Well, why should I vote for the same person who had an opportunity to make a change and you haven't changed anything? So why should you earn my vote again? So we really
What's the
need to
word you
think
just
about-
used? Earn, right? Did you just say
What'd you say?
earn? You
She
just
said
used the
earn.
word earn.
Yes,
Earn.
they need to
Right.
earn
That's,
our
you
vote.
got to earn
They
the
don't
vote.
pay attention
Right.
to our vote because it's a default vote. I wish that there was a lot of us Black folks who could switch over to the Republican Party, because it doesn't even seem like they may not necessarily have our best interest in mind, because we're busy supporting all of the Democrats. And then lastly, in terms of Obama, yeah, maybe he had restrictions when he was in office, but now he's as free as can be to open community centers everywhere.
Ma'am,
He could
can I
use the
ask
money
you a
to make the
question?
difference that he couldn't do
Absolutely.
when he was in office. So we understand he couldn't do everything. He wasn't just president for Black people, but now he can do whatever he likes with his money. So
Thank you so much. And he's got a gang of money too. Thank you so much, young. I want to hit something real quick because
Go
I think
ahead.
sometimes the conversation gets a little twisted. One of my favorite presidents of all time was William Jefferson Clinton as a president. Just remember what I'm saying. As a president, he was one of my favorite presidents
As
of
a
all
president.
time. And those people who remember when William Jefferson Clinton was the president, America was thriving, and there were not a whole lot of things that concerned Americans except for getting this paper, right? Everybody's making money. People are living good, right? There were some things that came out of that administration that I'm not happy about, but there's some things that's going to come out of every administration.
Absolutely.
Okay, that I'm not happy
gonna
about.
agree with
but if you
everything.
go back to the majority of the policy coming under Bill Clinton, especially from an economic standpoint, he was on point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Clinton left office in 2000, correct?
Mhm.
He left in 2000, right? Bill Clinton left office in 2000. Now listen to this, right? Bill Clinton continues 20 years later to remain relevant in the conversation. Yes or no, Glenn?
Yeah.
Bill Clinton never went away. Bill Clinton was active. He was traveling the country. Every political cycle, he was out stomping for people, right? He remained
2001.
2001.
He remained relevant and he remained a player. The Clintons, nobody in this country can tell you politically that they have not been the strongest players in a long time, right?
Mhm.
Because he remained relevant. My concern is Barack Obama, leave all that other stuff alone, still is a resounding voice with a segment, well, he could be, I think he's lost it, with a segment of the society, right? At a time when we really need to be talking about doing good by our young people, right? At a time when we're looking at a pandemic and an educational crisis in urban communities. Watch. Let your child stay home and see what happens. I'm telling you right now, we got kids that are already behind. We have failing schools. We have a bad system. The structure is broken. They've been out of school since March, and now they're probably going to be out of school till January. Let me explain you what's going to happen in 10 years. So there is a crisis in itself. So how about taking the resources, hearing from somebody who took the vote of millions of people of color in an overwhelming fashion, and say, let's what we need to do to help these people over here. You ain't got to say nothing about gun violence, Mr. President. You ain't got to talk about Chicago and the crime. That's not the narrative that your party has taken on. Okay, that is what, but I get it. Fine. This is about guns. This ain't about the economic situation of the Negro on the South and West Side. Psych. This is about the economic situation of the Negro on the South Side and the West Side. This is about the educational disparity of Black kids in Chicago. Go look. This is about unemployment among Black men between 18 and 29. I'm not making this up. Listen, please. Somebody needs to say something. And I want to shout out the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, who continues to say something. But nobody wants to hear from him because he has been accused of being everything.
Yeah, hate speech.
Right?
Yeah.
So the fact is, right? Very important. I want to have this conversation. Growing up in that city, growing up on the South Side, okay? And I'm telling you, I'm not one of them other people who grew up in Chicago. We ain't have nothing at all. I'm saying I need to hear from these people who have served as great inspirators, man.
But here's my
man,
question.
I'm killing you. TDJ, holler at the people in Chicago, man. Do a mass prayer for just the South Side. Then on next day, do one for the West. Somebody.
What about Michelle? Would Michelle do?
Michelle even more than Barack, because that she grew there. He flew there. You follow me?
I do.
She should have been said something. Listen, the reason why they can't, I'm telling you why they can't. Because the structure of the party in which they engage is not in line with them saying something. Just like black folk are talking about these Republicans won't take on Trump, right? Won't take on Trump. They won't take on Trump. They let Trump do anything, say anything. Well, why Democrats ain't taking on the power structure? They're not saying anything.
Absolutely.
Okay? Trump is running his mouth, right? We got murders in Chicago. Trump just jitter-jatter, rubbing everybody the wrong way, saying ridiculous things. People are dying in Chicago. So why is nobody taking on the structure of power that has represented these urban communities for decades? The Democrats. Let's be clear, man. I'm sorry. If you represent this community, you should be saying something right now. Lori Lightfoot is in line with the power structure. So if they say something, they're taking a shot at her.
But Don, there's a whole lot going on too.
Okay.
There's a whole lot.
Right,
and
okay,
then another one of Chicago's favorite sons, the
Right.
Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Right.
He's kind of a little up there.
He's not doing well. He's not doing well.
But he's been sick for a while.
He's been
now.
sick for
And I
a
love
while.
Rev, man. I love y'all know how I feel about Rev.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying here is this.
But
right?
when
he would have said something.
That's what I was about to
He
say.
would
But
definitely
he
be
would
out
have said
when
something.
he was
He'd be
healthy,
out there. He'd be out there.
But there's
And-
a whole
and they
lot
got mad
going
at him
on.
when he did say something,
He'd be
Don.
out there. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a whole lot going on.
Think about this, right?
Okay.
Rahm Emanuel covered up a video of a murder of a young black man during his campaign for mayor when he was in a tight race with a guy by the name of Chuy Garcia, right? Rahm Emanuel covered up a murder, quite frankly. The cops shot this young man 16, 17 times in the back while he lay on the ground.
Quan
right?
McDonald.
They knew it existed. The mayor of Chicago knew, but they held the video because it was in the midst of that race. Now, guess what? Why didn't Barack Obama at the time say, man, what is that about? Somebody needs to remove this guy from, right? That's your city. But guess what? He's a part of, they can't. They're so tied together that even when it's devastating, nobody can say nothing. That was Rahm Emanuel. Everybody knew Rahm Emanuel was wrong on that, right? Couldn't let that Mexican be mad, though. The problem is the narrative is killing people, man. The narrative is killing people, man.
Yeah.
The narrative is
I like
killing.
that, Don.
The narrative is
Yeah.
killing our children.
Yeah.
It ain't guns. It's the narrative. Go look. People won't say anything. Look, I want to say to the missionary, thank you so much for understanding that we're trying to do a good deed here on this Powercast. But listen to me. Barack Obama went into office with the Grand Slam. Let me tell you what that is. That is the House and the Senate. He could have did anything he wanted to do. Donald Trump ain't had the House and the Senate yet, has he? Nope. Right? Barack Obama could have did anything he wanted to do. He could have pushed any level of legislation.
And then on top of having
Go
a
look.
house, on top of having a house in the Senate,
Right.
he could use executive order. So he had multiple opportunities in his first term, Don, to get a lot done.
Yeah.
And so it really confuses and baffles me when people say, oh, he couldn't, his hands were tied. His hands were the most untied.
No,
Quite frankly.
But look again, The people are saying that know nothing about politics. They have no idea. They know nothing about politics, right? And that's okay. But the people who are saying that don't understand. Just like the missionary, they're going to support him and they love him because he's black. And I think that's very nice.
But
wait,
okay.
She was honest.
how many of us right now have lost relationships, right, with our relatives? Stop messing with them because they blew up and cut us off, right? Huh? Think about this. I had a friend. He got some money. It was over. I was carrying this clown, right? Why don't we feel like that about Barack Obama? Barack Obama got that money. He out. But when he needed somewhere to stay, he could stay with us, right? You ever had that relative? When I get on my feet, being the president of the United States wasn't Obama being on his feet. Obama getting on his feet is this 30, 40, 60, 80 million he getting after he leaves that White House. Because there will always be the White House. You follow me? He kept the seat warm. The fact of the matter is he got on his feet. He don't want to do with us. Go ahead. I'll wait.
So he took the money and ran. Are you saying
he
that
on his feet?
Are you saying that he used us?
He on his feet.
Kinda.
I'm not saying that, but go look.
But don't
Go
they
look.
all?
Go look. I tell you who came up like a fat rat in a cheese factory. The LGBTQIA. They got everything they requested.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
We have some of our listeners saying he got a lot done.
What?
But not for us.
Wrong.
Because remember, Don, black people.
He wasn't the president of black people.
Exactly.
He was the president of the United States
accepted that
of America.
notion that, okay, he's not the president of black people. He's the president of all people.
Right.
And so we were content with there not being a black agenda when there was a black president. So there we are.
Hoping that the black man would do right by us.
Look, I want to hear from. I'm hoping somebody will just get him to come to the microphone and say something. The other day he did a sit down social distance.
But he's been
chat
saying
with
something
Biden.
about Donald Trump. So why would you have to convince him to say something
Because
about what's going on in
and that's
Chicago?
crazy because that's the priority right now.
Yes. Anytime if they can if they can get on, they're on to talk about Donald Trump. But something going on right in your hometown, in your backyard, you got to convince him to say something about
all
it.
I'm saying is this, right? To the narrative. The narrative is killing us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If Barack Obama had the House and the Senate for over 600 days, let me explain to you what that means, okay? That means if you see something that you really want to get done from a legislative perspective, you got the numbers to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He appointed 2 Supreme Court justices at a time when we don't have a black woman nowhere near, right? He appointed Sonia Sotomayor and, of course, a Jewish young lady, judge, not young lady, but Jewish judge, Elena Kagan, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would have been amazing to see a brilliant black woman on the Supreme Court, right? Because we're not represented, let's be clear, okay? Let's be clear. The fact is, over 600 days, he had the House and the Senate. Over 600 days. You did not even handle the HBCU issue that was out of control at that point. But you know who did? Donald Trump. Why do we have to wait for Donald Trump to handle the HBCU issue? Listen to me, right? Barack Obama didn't do it. I was hoping at that point. See, I got little things when I give you my vote. I voted for the cat the first time, but I got little things that I want. I always want something when I give you my vote. Okay. And generally over the years, I've been able to tell the candidate what I wanted, right?
Yeah. Your vote comes with conditions.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I like little stuff. Like I wanted to see an African-American in a position that really made a difference, right? Mm-hmm. Secretary of Treasury. You follow me? Except we're always the Negro is always in charge of housing. You know what I mean?
Let's be clear, Valerie
man.
Jarrett?
No, Valerie's just the right hand. She was just the right hand.
She wasn't in the cabinet?
No. Yeah, she was quasi. But the point I'm making is this, really, really seriously. Have we come to a point where we have no expectation from those we give our vote to? Are we there yet? Because I'm looking right now, I know a whole bunch of people should be talking about. I don't want to hear from a 2-bit rapper. I don't care how much money he has. I don't want to hear from a rapper or an athlete talking about what's happening in America or how bad the president is. I don't want to hear from them. We didn't vote for any of them.
Mm-hmm.
We voted for people who told us they cared. We voted for people who said they were one of us. We voted for people who said they even loved us on many instances, right? I want to hear from those that I entrusted with the only damn thing of value I really have, my vote. And is it too much for me to ask Glenn Allgood? Is it? Do I just give it to you?
But I continue.
I'm sorry. I'm a little upset. I'm upset.
I
I'm
hear
upset,
it.
man.
That Black people, the Black community does not understand that you're not voting for your uncle, your friend. Oh, it's good to see it. No, you're voting for a politician, a policy maker. You're voting for people who have the power to create legislation that impact our community. And so when you have no expectation for no expectation as it relates to legislation, even if there's legislation that's already on the books that could be corrected, right? With new legislation, right? We don't have no expectation. We have no policy expectation whatsoever. And so all we're good with is just seeing a Black face. We're good. And so therefore we don't see any changes because we don't understand legislation, Glenn. We're legislatively ignorant. I will continue. I made that
You
up
always
and I'm
say
going to
that.
continue to push it.
And you're correct. And this is my thing, Don. Listen, as a people, it's like a relationship. When somebody's elected or you with you, I know you got my back.
Mm-hmm.
I know you got my best
Absolutely.
interest at heart.
Absolutely.
I know you do.
Yep.
And so the same thing happened when we elected Barack. We thought, as a collective, as a people, we thought the brother had our best interests at heart. And we didn't have to tell him what we needed.
Absolutely.
Because he knew.
Right. Yeah, because he's one of us.
Because he's one of us.
I understand your point.
So
That's a good point.
We didn't have to tell him. And then there comes a time when you feel, as a collective, you're kind of embarrassed that you need these things.
That you got to tell.
That you need.
You're like, bro, don't you already know?
Yeah, right. Don't
that's
you know?
a good point, Glenn. I understand that.
You know,
I don't
and
think
so-
that way, but that is a good point.
You know,
That is a good point.
And I think that's how we got as we were as a people. And then we put unrealistic expectations on this brother. He's not a czar or a king, Don Miller. He's not. Because he has to work through the checks. He has to work through the checks and balances of government. Don, he has to work through, and I submit to you that there were obstructionists. I submit to you that there were clandestine
being
even then, because you know
that's the best conditions you can get when it comes to legislation, Glenn. Those are the best conditions you can get as a president when it comes to legislation.
Couldn't be in a better position to take care of the people.
The agenda you have when you go into office done, that's where you make it happen, is it not?
Because you know it's not going to last long. I'll never forget this.
Suffer from the backlash.
I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this. And Glenn, I don't tell these stories. One time I asked President Clinton a question, right? And the question was regarding him pivoting toward healthcare when he initially went in and then immediately getting out of that conversation, because Clinton was looking at doing the same thing.
Yes, I remember that.
And he immediately got out of the situation because things like that and putting that much time into one piece of legislation when you have the ability to do a great deal of great work, right? It can absolutely affect. Now listen to this, right? Your legacy.
Yes.
I'll give you an example,
I
right?
agree.
A lot of people don't want to admit, right? The people who loved Bill Clinton when he was president, the Democrats, guess what? White folk, they still love Bill Clinton, right? Right? And Bill Clinton's one of my favorite presidents, okay? I have heard from more disgruntled Black people who voted for Obama, Glenn, who years later are now saying, wow. Okay? I'm going to Chicago. I'm hearing from people across this country, but the problem with liberals of color We also live in that ridiculous mindset that I got attacked for the other day, right here on the show. Well, don't be telling our business to nobody else.
Don't air out dirty
Huh?
laundry.
Don't air out
Don.
dirty laundry.
That's-
Why is
that's
you
This
on that
family,
show?
this family,
wisdom.
don't be airing
Why
out
is,
stuff
why
in
you
front
on
of
that?
people,
Why are
Don.
you on that radio show, Don Miller,
Yeah.
talking about black people's business? Ma'am, listen, this is not our business, ma'am. They already know. That's why it's so easy to get us. They understand us more than we know, ma'am. The enemy has already infiltrated our conversation and our circumstance. We need to separate this ridiculous nonsense about who the enemy really is. The enemy is already among us. We trying to block an enemy coming from over there. That's a weapon of mass distraction. That can't hurt us. Physically, it can't hurt us, but it can ruin us, right? If we stay focused on what we already know is a weapon of mass distraction. Listen, let Donald Trump be Donald Trump. Let him say whatever he got to say. Let him do what he got to do. I just want to say free Melania and that little boy hashtag, okay? Okay?
Barron.
Right. Listen to me. Let Donald Trump, leave Donald Trump over there. The damage is done, America. CNN, go cover something else. Fox
Wow.
News, go cover something else. This is not going to change, right? Let Donald Trump ride out. Let's save America, though. Let Donald Trump be Donald Trump, man. There ain't nothing they're going to say. No network, no correspondent, no media personality, no rapper, no athlete. Nothing they're going to say that's going to change Donald Trump one iota. Yes or no?
No.
So why are we spending so much time on a guy who has exhibited from the very beginning, years ago, that he did not give a damn?
He makes for great TV.
He did not give a damn. He didn't give a damn when
Yeah.
you were fired, right?
Yeah.
He didn't give a damn. So all of a sudden, this guy who made a lick off
Did
of
he ever?
hurting people's feelings. Come on, tell me if I'm making this up, right?
Yeah.
This
That's his
guy
thing.
became famous, okay, about punching people when they were down. Yes or no?
Yes.
This is his niche. He is the king of punching people when they're down. And now he becomes a president, and we expect him to lift them up. Who are we and where do we come from? Now we expect a guy who made a lick on firing people, putting people out, embarrassing people sometimes,
All the time.
okay? Now we expect this guy to lift people up. Turn away from that conversation. Let's talk about what is happening in our inner cities. Let's talk about the educational crisis that has been put on with the pandemic, which I concur. There was a time when you saw this coming. There were some components that could have been addressed many years ago. So I contend there was a pandemic before there was a pandemic. We'll be back in a moment.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of the Don Miller Show. Thank you guys for staying with us. Give us a call. 407-894-1680 is the number to dial. If you have some thoughts about the conversation we were having on the first half about what's going on in Chicago, and should we be hearing from our former president, Barack Obama? Again, give us a call. 407-894-1680 is the number to dial. I'm Jamaica Page, and here's your host, Don Miller.
You know, I'm coming down. I'm gonna come way down now. Listen, thank you so much again for joining us here on the show. As you know, we've been doing this for a very long time. I tend to be a little over the top when it comes to certain things, especially when I see people being taken advantage of by people that allegedly have loved them the most. And so I say things and I get caught up in the minute, and I want people to understand that I don't in any way mean to hurt anybody's feelings or tell you who you should love. But what I can tell you that I have felt loved before, and I have felt loved by people who didn't even have to say it. They exhibited love to me. Didn't have to tell me they loved me. They were there for me in difficult times. I felt cared for. They came to check on me. They reached out to me. They shared what they had with me. I'm sure many of us have different ways to feel love, but that's what I was dealing with when I felt like somebody really deeply cared for me. And in return, I felt a sense of peace, knowing that someone was there for me, right? Many of us attribute this conversation more often to their spiritual scenario than the people they live in a house with. There are some people who don't even feel loved by the people they live with every day, but they feel loved by Jesus. I just believe that at some point we must look at the people who've come to us in their situations. Look how we have engaged them in their difficulties. And just ask the question, where are they now, man? Glenn, I'm sorry. There are people going to probably take issue with this, but I just believe the first Black president of the United States had a higher obligation to Black folk. At some point, it should have been our moment to shine. Outside of the day in January when we all cried as he stood in Grant Park with his family.
Freezing.
Outside of the cold day in D.C. in January when
the inauguration.
100,000 people or more just was there, man, just to be in the space, man.
Freezing.
It was beautiful, man, and people came from all over the country. I know people who drove 18, 20, 30 hours just to be there, be in the space, and breathe the air that the first Black president
It was quite a time.
was breathing. So I just believe that Black people hit you with these scriptures, right? And y'all need to stop with these scriptures because there's nothing worse than using a scripture out of context, right?
What you call it? Misappropriated
Misappropriation of scripture. That's what I call it, okay? And somebody said something, and I don't know if this is scripture. Some of y'all Christians and evangelists who listen to the show can call and tell me. But wasn't there something that was said that to whom much is given, something?
Much is required.
Okay, watch this, right? Was much given to Barack Obama? Was much given? As far as I see, it was a huge much. Okay, can I say huge much? Much was given to Barack Obama. Does he have any obligation to come back, and is much required of him? Or does he get a pass? To whom much is given, y'all say it's much is required. That's what it says.
That's what it says.
So much was given, and I believe much should be required.
You know, what's interesting, that comment in our chat room says that Republican leaders in Congress continue to give Donald Trump a pass. But it sounds like you're saying to me that we as a Black community have also given President Barack Obama a pass on not doing some of the things that we expected to be done under his presidency.
And let me
did we give him a pass?
And let me just say this real quick. Let me just say this, right? I don't even think the Republican leaders are giving Trump a pass. You have to understand, right? Trump was never their guy.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, let's see. This is when you don't understand how this all came about, right?
That's true.
Okay, Glenn, this is how the people who don't understand this politics or politricks, Trump was never their guy.
No.
Trump was never Mitch McConnell's guy.
No, the establishment
was
vocally against
nothing
him.
to do with this guy, right? So they know if they bark at him, he will crush their world. You follow me? Let's be clear, right? They are frightened. I can tell you what is being said in the back room by Mitch McConnell in that leadership. I can tell you. It is not something in favor of this guy, right? But he was never their guy. And guess what? He didn't like any of them either.
He did not like any
of them, right?
Yeah.
So listen, when you say that the Republicans are giving him a pass, no, he got them in a jam, okay? They are in a jam, right? If they say something, the career's over.
I wonder, do people understand that Donald Trump for many, many, many years was a part of the Democratic Party?
Yes, he was.
More so than he has ever been affiliated. So he's an outsider on I would say on pretty much every level, wouldn't you say, Don?
First of all, he's always an outsider, and he's never been in. Okay?
I think the reason why he was elected was because he was an outsider.
Okay. He's never been an insider. And guess what, Black folk? Listen to me, y'all. Donald Trump hung out with more Black folk than he did with white folk back in the day. Okay. Go look.
Glenn, no, he was in all the rap songs. Glenn, no.
Okay. Yeah. That dude
had money.
That dude was with Jesse, and he was with Al, and he was all the leadership, and he was with the Clintons, and they came to his wedding, and yada, yada. Listen. Donald Trump tricked all of them. Okay. And that whole impeachment thing only put him at another level of power. Then he began to really feel himself. So be careful when you say that Republicans, look, I'm telling you right now, they don't like each other. But you don't want your business in the street either. And he's a guy, normally politicians play a different game. They'll go and raise money against you when you run. This is a guy who'll put your business in the street. And this is why there's such a hush. This is a guy who don't play the same game. He's not
a politician.
No, come on, man.
No,
this dude will tell somebody publicly that you cheating on your wife. No, I'm very serious, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to understand.
Mm-hmm.
He will put it out there that you cheating on your wife. Like, hey, at least I don't cheat on my wife. No, I'm telling you, right? Tell me if I'm making this up. This is a guy who's got everybody in his box afraid.
He'll say something crazy to anybody.
Yes.
If he'll talk crazy to the Pope, I don't know what you expect.
Oh my God!
I don't know what you're expecting, Glenn. I'm sorry.
He told the Pope to shut up. Right? I was like, okay, well,
keep it real.
I'll punch him. Go sit down. 478-946-1680 is the number to dial. So let me just get back to this. Right? I am just confused why we haven't heard from the guy. I'm going to go in a different direction, but when I look at what's happening, right, and the devastation, that's the word I'm going to use. Right?
In Chicago.
I just, the mayor is new. She is so in over her head. Okay. She's trying hard, but she knows she's in over. This is just way too much. A pandemic and this level of crime. Who would have thought that during a pandemic, the crime number would drop 50%, right? So she's in over her head. Then she goes and hires a gentleman. The new superintendent is the former chief of police in Dallas, Texas. Dallas has some crime, but Dallas ain't had nothing like this, right?
Not like Chicago.
Okay. So then he's reading at a press conference the other day, and you can look at his face, right? And he's like, whoa. When they start talking about those numbers, and it's funny to me because I got people were texting me like, dude, are those real numbers? And they were asking me this question because when he was talking about the numbers, right, his face was like, this is crazy. And because of the numbers, 117,000 gang members, okay, and only 12,000 cops. Do the math, right? And these gang members aren't just all over the city, spread throughout the city. These gang members are in a series of zip codes that are predominantly Black and Hispanic, right? He was like, whoa. And you could tell he was trying to figure out what is the next move. Nobody knows, but I can tell you, right? My concern is this. We just sit and let our people go down the drain like this, man, without expecting those who have had the ability to calm the storm.
Yeah, some type of influence.
He made people feel better.
He did. And he still does. He still does. Just his presence, Don Miller. Just his presence. And so you're correct in saying, hey, Barack Obama, we need you in Chicago. Can you just
come, man? Come. Look, think about this, right? We got an election cycle coming up, right?
Yes.
I'm sure that he's going to be out there on that stump. Okay. I guarantee you, he's got to be, or they're really in trouble. You look at Florida, for example, right? Gone are the day in Florida where you had powerful politicians that can rile the Black vote out. Gone is the day of Corrine Brown and Alcee Hastings and Carrie Meek, the first three Blacks since Josiah Wall 127 years before 1993. Gone are those tree shakers who get people inspired and go to 7 churches in one Sunday. Gone are those people. So they're gone, and we're in a pandemic, right? Until about life. Who's going to shake the tree? Watch these voter numbers, okay? Watch these voter numbers, okay? Who's going to shake the tree? It's got to be him. Nobody else is going to inspire people of color this election cycle. To such an extent, they've lured out Andrew from Tallahassee. They've lured out Andrew from Tallahassee, right? Mm-hmm. Andrew from Tallahassee should still be somewhere trying to get it together, right? Mm-hmm. But they want to bring him out real quick because they're going to need him down the stretch.
They're going to need him.
Gone is the day that we have people who people trust in politics, right? They done shook the tree and got Andrew Gillum, who was caught in the hotel room less than 4 months ago with a power top and methamphetamine. Hey, we need you to clean yourself up real quick because we're going to need you to go talk to these Negroes. Okay? Clean yourself up. We get back on the court.
You got to admit, Don Miller, his oratory skills.
Yes, and that's what we like.
Excellent.
We like emotion. We don't want information. We just want emotion. Okay? So we need to get Andrew clean. Get him clean. Y'all hurry up and go get Andrew clean, man. Okay? We got to stop, y'all. That brother had no business coming to have a conversation right now. You have a lot going on, young man. Focus on your family, dude. But that's the level of desperation we see in this liberal conversation. I'm telling y'all, they can say what they want to say. Democrats are scared right now. They're scared.
Of course they are.
They're frightened right now.
Of course they are. You got Joe Biden out front.
They shouldn't be, right? So the Democrats are frightened right now, and they done lured little Andrew back out here, man. Y'all keep little Andrew. Keep little Andrew in y'all prayers, man. I'm serious, man. Keep little Andrew in y'all prayers.
Maybe that's the conversation that they want because he's not perfect. Maybe
Listen
they're trying to reach. They're reaching.
Let me tell y'all something, okay? it is amazing how easy the sale is, SALE, to black folk politically. It's the easiest box to sell is the black liberal, right? You could sell them, you could get a black liberal. It's historically, right?
Yeah.
You got to go to these white folk and communicate with them. You got to tell them why they should let you put your sign. I saw this guy talking to this guy the other day about why you should let him put his sign in his yard.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, so what are you
about? They want to know what are you about?
He stood out, and I'm sitting and watching this. He talked to this dude for 20 minutes, right, about his platform and why I should let you put your sign in my front yard. And finally, he shook his hand and said these words, "I'm going to hold you to it." So I was like, wow, right?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to just putting your sign in my yard. What are you about before you put your sign in my yard? What are you about? What do you stand for? Or to old people, you say, who's your people?
Right, exactly.
Who's your people?
Not as who your people.
Who your people? We got to ask the question sometime. Who your people?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are voting for people and we don't know who they people are. We don't know who is supporting people we vote for. Segue, watch this.
That's a good one.
Right here in Central Florida, there's a political race for state attorney, right? And there's some people running. A lady by the name of Deb Barra, a wonderful young man by the name of Ryan Williams.
Whom I really like.
And the other lady is Monique Worrell, and of course, longtime judge Belvin Perry.
Mm-hmm.
And Belvin Perry has an interesting story. He's from this community.
Mm-hmm.
His dad's the first black cop in this community, blah, 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 blah. He spent his whole year the long-sitting chief judge in the state of Florida, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Got a great resume, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know Belvin Perry. Ryan Williams has served at the state attorney's office for a long time. He's had a lot of cases, okay? And he's been in this community. You see him. We know Ryan Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Deb Barra, who has been at the state attorney's office for a long time. A lot of cases, a lot of trials, and people in this community know Deb Barra.
Mm-hmm.
But this other person who is running for office, and I'm going to say this right here on the show, and if she wins, and they pull me over for some, but I also know the sheriff too, so that'll be all right. This lady, Miss Worrell, is running for office against people we know, and we know they're people.
Mm-hmm.
We know what box they're in, and we know they're people, right? We ain't never heard of this lady, ever. She had a brief stint with Miss Ayala, the current state attorney.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know her. We don't even know who her people are, right? But she's getting a lot of money
Outside the community.
from outside of the community, right? Lots of money from New York, and they putting out these scathing flyers against the other candidates, right? So they're attacking the people we know, and the people we know are being by people we don't even know who their people are.
Mm-hmm.
When I say they're people, right, Glenn? Who is behind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It used to be important for us to know people's people. Huh? Glenn?
Especially in the black community.
No, especially.
Yeah,
What
that's how we
I remember
roll.
across the street. I'm gonna tell this story and I'm gonna come back to this really quick, right? There's a girl across the street from my house. Y'all know the motto of the show is listen, laugh, and learn.
Mhm.
There's a girl who lived across the street from us. She had like 5 sisters, and it was 4 of them. It was 5 of them. She had 4 sisters. All the sisters had at least 3, 4 babies, right? And she was over there. I was like 12, and she was on my porch one day. And my grandma came home, and she said, "You get that girl off this porch right now. Send her home. Get her out off of this porch." Because my grandma knew her people,
Mm-hmm.
and her people was not in line with what my people was
What
in line
about?
with. Okay,
Yeah.
follow me. See where I'm going with this?
Absolutely.
So the new lady who's running for state attorney, who's running against the people we know, who's taking the money from out of state, right? Who's sending scathing advertisements. Quite frankly, some of it is false. Look, we love the people in this community. This is a community. We know each other. We may not support everybody. People pick who they support, but don't come to this town playing this kind of game, right? And I want anybody who listening to the sound of my voice you got three choices to vote for. You got Belvin Perry, you got Ryan Williams, and you got Deb Barra for state attorney. We know them, and we can actually hold them accountable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't endorse nobody, but I'm telling you right now, if you don't know they people, you better be careful with them. 407-894-1680. D'Amica, listen, I wanted to have this conversation so bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I promised I would stay out of this, right? But then I saw John Legend.
Phone call.
John Legend endorsed this young lady. Let me explain to people who support this conversation.
John Legend.
We don't care about John Legend.
Did he say John
Yes,
Legend?
John
We don't
Legend.
care. Then she got endorsed by Kamala Harris. Guess what about the people here in Central Florida? We don't care about her either. And then she got endorsed today by Bernie Sanders. Why is a guy who has consistently lost even relevant in the political discourse? No, let's be clear. Thank you. Bernie Sanders? Really? They don't understand the climate in which we're engaging in politically. Everybody wants the young person vote. The young people don't even know it's an election in 2 weeks. I'm telling you what I know. Glenn, I'm telling you right now, man. These young people, and how many young people I hang out with?
You're right. But you know you're right.
How many young people do I hang around, Joe? They don't even know there's an election coming up. So you're playing to a crowd of people who is not even engaged in your conversation. Oh, God.
Hey, caller, you're on the Don Miller Show.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
How you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm good. Hey,
I know your people. I know your people, don't I?
I need you to hit me back, Don, so I can get some of that.
Okay, all right.
On Belvin Perry. Hey, look here, I just want to say your grandmother was a wise woman. My grandmama used to have a saying. She would say, association brings on simulation, and birds of a feather
flock together. But no, my grandma it was just important to my grandma just to know people's people, right?
Right.
Because then you can.
Well, when I was growing up, that's how you communicate. That's how you associated. Somebody in your family had to know what that family was about, and then people who you communicated with, they judge you based on who your family was. So that's always been an old saying.
Exactly, Gary. Because my grandmother was the same way.
Thank you so much, my friend. 407-894-1680. Listen, even if you like Kamala Harris, Trish, we don't want to hear from Kamala Harris on an endorsement in Central Florida. I'm just saying there are three candidates in this race for state attorney in Orange County, Orange Osceola.
Who have a foundation in this community.
Listen to me. That have a foundation in this community, right?
Big name
three
endorsement.
Of them, okay? Mm-hmm. Three of them, right? We don't care about somebody outside of Central Florida's position on who we vote for. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a little offended by it. John Legend, dude, sing me a song. Seriously, really? Sing me a song, man. Again, here we go with these rapper types, these entertainers. Stay in your lane. If you heard John Legend endorse someone and you voted for that person, you are a level 7 idiot. Okay?
John Legend is a smart dude, Don Miller.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that.
Right? John Legend is a smart guy.
If you were moved to vote for a particular candidate by listening to John Legend, listen to me, you are a level 7 idiot, right? Now.
You didn't like green light?
Okay, again.
We're talking about legislation.
We're talking about policy. We don't want to hear John Legend or from his hot wife. The fact of the matter is, right? What are we doing? Listen, if a candidate, now politically, there's some political candidates who could share their position or endorse someone. That's different because they're in that box, right? They're in that space. I don't want to know who Snoop Dogg supports for president. I don't care who Snoop Dogg supports for president. Nor do I care what position Nick Cannon has taken. And he's feeling bad now. First of all, Nick Cannon, you, my friend, have to seriously take a moment and understand one thing. You can't talk about Jews publicly one way, and when you on the other side of the conversation, talk about it differently.
Yeah, I watched the whole.
And you wonder why you're getting dragged.
I watched the whole thing.
First of all, Nick Cannon, if you feel that way, Why are you apologizing? See, this is another conversation that we have had on this show.
Yeah.
Don't throw the rock and hide your hand. Man up. And this is why we don't need a conversation coming from people like this, because there were some interesting points in what he said. There were some truths in what he said. But because he is not scholared enough to eloquently elaborate or articulate why he is engaging in that level of conversation, then people think he's a clown. Right?
Yeah.
The Honorable Louis Farrakhan has made statements falling in line with that on multiple occasions, but nobody takes him on. You know why?
Nobody questions him.
You know why? Because they know from that mouth comes power, understanding, intellectual.
Yeah.
Right?
We know his people.
And we know his people.
We know his people, but he's been consistent in his conversation.
Yeah.
He's been having that conversation for decades now. So, you know, I think that
Nick is still looking for affirmation. Yeah. Dude, he was with Professor X. He was sucked in.
You got a chance to see the whole thing?
I saw the whole thing. Danica.
Okay.
I saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
He got sucked in, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. When you get a chance, you got to see the one that he talk about white women. And then when you see that conversation and alongside the one where he's talking about the Jewish community, you wonder, like, wait a minute, bro, where are you really going? Because it's inconsistent. The conversation is inconsistent. So that brings a whole nother level of confusion to what he's saying.
I can't wait till Don talks about the sheriff race.
You know, we did that before, right? And we did that before, and we interviewed a gentleman right here on the show.
He's back.
Yes. We interviewed this gentleman right here on the show, and this gentleman is running for sheriff in the same area, Central Florida, right? So we interviewed this guy, and he's running for sheriff, and it was just amazing to me that he was running for sheriff, and he had some real serious challenges, right? One of which was the fact that he was already on charges. So Daryl Shepard,
12 arrests.
12 arrests. Daryl Shepard already on charges, running for sheriff, had a current case in court, okay, for beating up a woman or something, getting into an altercation on the street. And again, right, not only was he a bad candidate, we didn't even know his people. So guess what we did here on this show, right? Okay, let me tell you what we did on the show. So we didn't know Daryl Shepard's people, but Daryl Shepard was running for sheriff. Listen, all them other candidates running for sheriff, y'all can vote for any of them, but don't this dude right here. Stop him, y'all. Stop him in his tracks, okay? He defended his arrest record right here on this show, okay? And he got caught in a lie right here on this show, remember? He said he went to Tallahassee Community College, but he went to Florida State, but he left and went to Tallahassee Community College because of the smaller classrooms. And one of the callers called in and say, there's more people at Tallahassee Community College in the classroom. You follow me? But again, these are people, before we even get to this, we need to know their people, okay? And we cannot vote for a guy who's got a record, okay? Stop it. I don't care what
you
color
want to be
he
the
is.
top cop.
Okay, he's been arrested at least 13 times. Yeah. Charges ranging from driving on suspended license to battery and motor vehicle theft.
He says he can see the law from both sides.
And many of the charges, he said many of the charges were dropped or dismissed. Okay, but he still had some cases pending. But he said that's why he would be a good sheriff, because he could see
He broke the law so many times.
He said he could see the law from both sides.
Both sides,
right?
Don Miller.
And guess what else? And we didn't know his people, man. So we got to be careful, I think, when we really get into these type of conversations, right? Because I really contend in real life.
Phone call to me.
That we are just really struggling. Go ahead, D.
Hey, caller, you're on the Don Miller Show. Hey, caller. Are you there?
Yeah, I just want to ask Don Miller one question. So what you saying is Gary Haskell can't run for sheriff?
Gary Haskell can't run for student council. Okay, Gary Haskell, we love you, man. We love you, Gary Haskell. And listen, hold on, Gary. For those of us,
listen to what I gotta say.
Yeah.
I'm with you when you're right.
hey, Gary Haskell, hold on. For those who may not have heard the show before, Gary is a frequent caller on the show. He's a friend of the show. But Gary has spent a multitude of years incarcerated, okay? So you cannot. Thank you so much, Gary. You cannot, my friend. Your life.
Hey, one thing I learned about from you, Don.
Yeah.
I stay in my lane, baby.
Thank you so much, man. Gary Haskell, who has changed his life, majority of his adult life and childhood was spent in trouble with the law. But Gary's right, so we got to be careful. And when we let people, because I'm telling you, there's a level of trickery going on that if we don't see it now. And so we're looking at this guy. Let's go back to the Shepherd conversation, which was a previous show, might I add.
It was.
And so Daryl Shepherd, we find out he was being propped up, okay, by Joel Greenberg, who was up until recently the tax collector in Seminole County, Florida, right?
Your friend.
Okay. And I've known Joel Greenberg for a lot of years, right? So Joel Greenberg, we find out, is propping up Daryl Shepherd, right? Now, listen to this. So we called Joel Greenberg live on the radio, right? At the time we spoke to him, he was the tax collector of Seminole County, Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's no longer the tax collector of Seminole County, Florida, and he is currently indicted in a federal case, okay? You can't make this up.
These are some of his people.
You got to know their people, wow, man. You follow me? And this is what I'm trying to get people to understand, man. Who's your people? You got to know their people, man.
What did Gary just say? Birds of a feather flock together.
Listen to me. I like Joel Greenberg, okay? I don't know. Joel is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law,
Yeah,
right?
he was great.
Joel's a good dude, but even good people make mistakes, right? And my problem is this, right? My problem is this. You got to know their people, man. You got to know their people. And we got to be careful because we keep getting set up. This dude almost won last time.
He absolutely did.
He almost won, D'Amica. Can you imagine black people that the national news will pick up this story that the new sheriff in Orange County, Florida, has been arrested 13 times and currently he shows up to court in his uniform on charges, okay? Because we voted him in. No.
Wow.
So listen, we got to stop. It's very important that we stop. It's very important that we engage at the right level. We have to step away from legislative ignorance that serves no one. Mm-hmm. We have to be more engaged. We have to stop looking at personality. Mm-hmm. We got to engage more in policy and understanding what a person is telling us. We also got to look at people a certain way that come to us. Like that gentleman I saw the other day. It's like, hey, before you put that sign in my yard, what are you about, man? Okay, what bills have you passed?
Right.
Okay, I heard him. This is an incumbent that was putting out signs, right? He said, tell me what bills you passed already. Mm-hmm. He just rolled him out and finally shook his hand and said, okay, but I'm going to remember.
And there's no other field you can go to, Glenn, and get a job without having a resume. Mm-hmm. And you taking a good critical look at that resume.
Yeah.
To determine if you're qualified for the position.
Job.
Yes. But in our community, it's okay if you don't have no resume. And then if you do have a resume, we're not going to be critical to come to the conclusion that you're qualified for the position. And
Tamika, I hate when you say stuff like this.
I'm just saying.
But it's right. For the most part. For the most part.
Yes. And I really believe that when we take on that kind of frame of mind, that we'll get more out of our politicians in terms of policy that can actually help our community.
Don always talked about the process.
Absolutely.
And taking part and being a part of the process.
Yeah, you got to be a part, but I think we need now, we need to understand the process more. Mm-hmm. Because I'm telling you right now, I want to shout out the young black man who just got elected. And I'm not going to say where this is. this is. They just elected a young black guy. No, that's a young black woman who's a high school dropout to the school board of a county. I'm telling you right now.
Don.
Absolutely. I'm telling you right now. She ran for school board and high school dropout and won. And now she is on the school board. She didn't even go to school.
Did she go back and get her GED or something?
She's in the process now.
She's in the process.
But she's already won.
Wow.
Shouldn't the school board have some criteria? Maybe shouldn't you have to have graduated at least from high school to be on the school board? It is the school board. You know what I mean? You don't want to put somebody who was bored with school on the school board. Okay? Come on,
That's
man.
pretty good.
No, right?
Oh my God.
She said she just never wanted to go back, and she had her children. And she didn't want to go back. She had her kids, and finally her kids got older, and she just said, she wanted to run for the school board. And so she won the school board position. And now I want to say she decided to go to a GED program and get her GED. But again, that's a great story.
You got to call down.
But is it a great story? You know what I mean? Hey, you're on the Don Miller Show.
Hey, this is Honey Walker.
Honey Walker, how are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm just listening. If everybody running, hey, you think I might can run and win some?
Honey, you might be able to win. Wait, Glenn, cue up some honey. Okay? Let me tell y'all, first of all, look, this is Honey Walker. Honey Walker is one of the most prolific gospel entertainers in the last 60 years. Honey, how long you been traveling the country? How long you been performing all over the country?
I've been performing over the country about 6 to 9 years, but I've been singing 7 to 9 years.
Okay, he's been singing for 79 years and performing all over the country. When I was a little boy, I saw Honey Walker perform, and I grew up with this kind of music. But I got to tell you, in real life, Honey Walker would probably win, Glenn. You know what? Honey Walker
would win.
He
would win.
You got some Honey Walker queued up? Play some Honey Walker.
I do.
We'll have a concert, outdoor concert in the park, and we'll let Honey open up with this right here.
Yeah.
Man, people's like, man, who is that? That's Honey Walker and the Beautiful. In the morning. What? In the morning, morning. Hey, honey, when did you cut this record?
Oh, I think that was in the early 90s.
Really? Man, Glenn, we should have a Honey Walker on tour. What you want to pick? What you want to run for, honey? Thank you so much for listening, man. We love you so much.
Man, I'm always y'all keep it up.
Thank you so much, Honey Walker.
Y'all keep listening.
Thank you so much, Honey Walker and the beautiful golden hair. Right? Honey Walker's listen to the Don Miller Show, man. I remember I was a little boy and Honey Walker.
Honey bad.
Man, Honey bad, man. In the morning.
Yeah.
Listen, we get ready to have another guest, right, Meek Page? And this is going to be a real quick interview. We probably won't do a caring and sharing because I want to get all I can get in this interview. Because we talk a lot here on the show about accountability and, of course, just people who are doing good and doing the right thing. As you know, there are times when I really go after some people, but I just, I believe that there's certain factors in the pathway or in the path to difference making in the society. And as I talked about Chicago a little while ago, I come from Chicago, and I come from an area where what we see today is also, quite frankly, the way it was. And we've had here on this show a gentleman by the name of Great Gator Bradley, who was the chief enforcer for the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. You noticed the other day the conversation was about the 120,000+ gang members in Chicago. and how that is becoming a challenge for the 12,000 police to even engage. But I just want people to understand.
He's not picking up.
Uh, I just want people to understand that we are really at crisis, and I really think that in real life that we should really just kind of take a moment and figure out who is making a difference, and probably give more of our time and effort to the people that are already making a difference. And so I can tell you, and I know for a fact that many of the things that I saw growing up in the inner city, and many of the people that I saw whose lives were changed, right, were changed by people that were those people trusted first. And I think it's hard to engage someone and really make a difference in their life, right, if you don't trust the person. And I think we need to understand that many of those young people just don't trust the people that's trying to engage them. And so I think if we don't see the value in that, that we need to allow the people that these young people trust to have a conversation with them, then we are setting ourselves up even more. And there are not a lot of people in these communities that are being trusted. And I'll give you an example, right? We all have come from a time when we see people in our community that I had a couple of people in my community that I was frightened of. And they go away and they come back to the community, right? And they're changed and they're transformed, and you see them and they don't even have to tell you, right? And oftentimes they have gone and engaged with the Nation of Islam, right? You've seen it, D'Amica. Joe, you've seen it. And you'll be like, man, that dude was crazy. When he went to the joint, now he comes back. He's got a family. He's got some structure. Guess what? That D word, what does he has? Discipline.
Discipline.
And D'Amica and I talk about discipline all the time because I don't have it and D'Amica does, right? And it's just, I think we have to find people that people trust, and to allow them to have a conversation. Get past your personal feelings right now. And we need to engage the people that those young people in these urban communities trust. And I could tell you overwhelmingly that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam has been in the dirt, and they trust them. And so I think for those who may take issue at any level with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, stand down on your issues and allow the message to get to those people, because they're not trusting you apparently. So joining us here on the show, we only got him for a few minutes. He is the student minister James Muhammad from the Nation of Islam. He is based in Tampa, Florida. I have known this gentleman for a long time. He practices what he preaches. Minister James Muhammad, we welcome you to the show, my friend.
My dear brother, it is my great honor and privilege on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to accept your invitation. The honor is mine, dear brother Don.
Well, Minister Muhammad.
Am I speaking with Don?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, very good.
Minister Muhammad, I want to just ask a question, and I have always admired the grassroots work of the Nation of Islam. And I could say this as a conservative, right? Because I came out of that box and found myself in the current box I'm in. But I will never forget the box from which I've come. And I saw the great work. I saw the lives change. I saw more lives change consistently, as D'Amica and I talk about often, through the discipline of the Nation of Islam, the commitment to doing right by the followers of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Okay. And it wasn't about politics or party or scenarios or situations. It was about just teaching discipline and good work. Go ahead, D'Amica.
No, go ahead.
Okay, and so Minister Muhammad, how can we save what we're seeing, or how can we turn the tide in Chicago on that south side?
Well, my dear brother, I don't wish to sound pessimistic, but the reality of it is it may not change for a great while. For 60 years, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been trumpeting a message that would deliver our people out of the condition that 400 years of slavery has put us in. Yet, we have treated him like an entertainer with a nice song. We love to hear him preach, but we don't act upon that which he is preaching and teaching. And so, therefore, we have arrived at a situation now where God has intervened on our behalf and intervened on behalf of the world, really. And now all that you see happening, up to and including the self-destructive behavior of our young people, this is all now inclusive of the plan, or in the plan of God. A man cannot continue to mock God and expect no consequences. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this in the 90s. He said, if our young people did not cease killing themselves and shedding their own blood, then God would give them their blood to drink like sweet wine. And now you see the culmination of that which is in the scripture. The only reason why we are in this condition is because we have rejected right guidance. All of what you see, dear brother, is as a result of the plan and the consequences wrought by our rejection of the message of truth. And now God is answering that rejection. As a man soweth, so shall he reap. And this is why you see our people killing each other at this point.
So, Brother Muhammad,
The Honorable, go right ahead. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to ask you a quick question. So, clearly everyone that listens to this show knows that I'm a Christian, and I believe in Jesus Christ. And so would you agree that, especially in the Black community, we have churches on every corner, and still our communities look like death? So would you say that regardless of if the message is about Jesus Christ, or if it's about or if it's the message coming from the Elijah Mr. Farrakhan,
Muhammad?
that it's
Okay,
being
Mr.
rejected,
Farrakhan.
period. God is being rejected, period. It doesn't matter who it's coming from. Would you agree with that?
Okay, I'm so sorry. You broke up just a little bit. Can you just repeat it?
I
very
said,
briefly?
would you agree that our young people, our young generation, they're rejecting God, period, whether it's a message in coming from a Christian perspective, following Jesus Christ, or whether it's a message that's coming from Minister Farrakhan, that it's God is being rejected, period, and we're seeing the consequences of that in our communities? Would you agree with that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I agree wholeheartedly in that. I would say this as a qualification of my response. Yes, there's a church nearly on every corner throughout America, a Black church wherein our people go and worship at least on the seventh day. However, we must question, is it the doctrine of Christ that is emanating from these churches? And where Muslims are concerned, we have many masjids throughout America and many mosques. The question is, are we preaching the message of the Quran, the message of Prophet Muhammad, the message of Islam? I would venture to say, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has pointed out, that corruption has appeared on the land and in the sea. And in these houses, purportedly houses of God, Satan has gotten a stronghold. This is why Paul said we war not against flesh and blood, but we war against principalities, the rulers of the darkness of this world. We war against spiritual wickedness in high places. We have not identified the real enemy, and so we attack one another. But once we identify the enemy, the real, true Satan, then we can wage an effective war. And this is why you see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in trouble with segments of the Jewish population. I would say the so-called Jews, because it is not Jewish, it is not the true Jew that opposes the minister. They are the so-called Jews, the synagogue of Satan. And now that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been and is exposing the real Satan at its root, you see the real Satan coming out. But we have arrived at a time now that God is really kind of tired of talking to us.
Wow.
He wants now, I'll close my statement.
Yes, sir.
He wants now to show through action the error of our ways and the consequences thereof.
Minister Muhammad,
Go ahead,
you wow, you know, you're one of my favorite people in terms of just your message is always on point. And I think so often we get caught up in Christian versus Islam. And I think that is also a level of confusion that people are running away from because the propagandas continue. And I've been talking about this for years on the show to drive that divide. I have much respect, as you know, for the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, but I know that he has a brother that I love as well, and that's Father Flager, okay, who is a Catholic priest, okay? And so I understand as if the guy that they have called these names can engage to the level in which the minister engages with Father Flager, who I've known my whole life when he came to 79th Street from a small town in Wisconsin to lead a Catholic parish and has been embraced in that community and speaking for those poor people for years, then I understand that the propagandists have a stronghold as well. So, but Minister, I just want you to, I know it's last minute. I appreciate you joining us. If you can just please continue being vocal and leading to the magnitude in which you do, and we keep you in our prayers. And if you can give word to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan then, and Sister Khadijah that I love them and I pray for them as well.
I certainly shall, dear brother. And if I may close
please,
out,
please.
We are coming to a close right now.
Please.
I want to share with you some scripture from the Bible because we don't delineate and we certainly don't denominate. A good Christian is a good Muslim and a good Muslim is a good Christian. But in the scriptures, Isaiah 26:20, the Bible reads, "Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed." And so the instructions that the government has issued in the past regarding sheltering in place, they're now very vocal, asking the populace to stay home. This is as a result of prophecy. It is not necessarily from the government. It is not necessarily from man, but it is a pestilence coming from God to let the world know that he's tired of being mocked and he no longer will accept rejection of his message. And he will no longer accept these denominations that divide us one against the other. There's only one religion that he accepts, and that religion is obey me. You can put whatever name you want on it, Christian, Islam, Judaism, or whatever you'd like to put on it. The reality of it is all under those titles have disobeyed and rejected the message of God. And so we suffer now the indignation that is spoke about in that particular scripture. This pestilence is not from man. This is not the Wuhan virus. This is a punishment from God. And while the scientists are in their laboratories seeking to find some kind of immunization, some kind of vaccine, I can tell you that the only vaccine, the only immunization that will work is our turning to God. And therefore he says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, and then what? Turn from their wicked ways. Then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sins,
and heal their land.
the land. So until and unless we hearken to the voice of God, who is now, whether we like it or not, whether we wish to accept it or not, is the voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If we do not hearken to the truth and the message and the warning found in that voice, we are yet to suffer.
Thank you so much.
I don't see an end. I don't see an end coming to this this pestilence, this COVID-19. I see it accelerating, and I see it encompassing the whole world. There is no vaccine except the obedience to God.
Thank you so much, Student Minister James Muhammad from the Nation of Islam. Again, we wrap up here on Friday. Listen, we wish you all a very good weekend. You have tuned in to another edition of the Don Miller Show. You can find us Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, 12 p.m. Eastern Time at thedonmillershow.com. Head over to our new website. Follow us on YouTube, where you can go watch and listen to previous shows. Hit us up on Twitter, The Don Miller Show, Facebook, The Don Miller Show, and, of course, Instagram, The Don Miller Show. Thank you so much, everybody. For D'Amica Page, myself, and Glenn Allgood, we'll see you next week.